everybody, this is Jerry Nines back with another video on the Wilson SFX9. Today we're going to take this gun out to the range and we're going to actually put together the entire EDC system that supports and surrounds the firearm. What I mean by that is that obviously you can't just grab a firearm of any type, no matter how nice it is, and say, well, that's it, I'm all set. You need to have a holster that gun can go into. You need to have probably the most overlooked part of an EDC collection is a solid, good quality belt that can hold onto that holster and provide a good platform as we access the gun and also as we get the gun back into the holster. So with those elements together, we also have our red dot sight, and we're going to go to the range and we're just going to start the process of familiarizing myself with this gun so that I feel comfortable carrying it and using it in an EDC role. And this is something that I think a lot of people overlook, is they figure, great, I got a new gun, this is a great gun, I've heard a lot about it. I go out, I shoot it at the range, it's accurate enough that the bullets are going where I want them to go or close to it, and great, throw it in a holster and let's go. Well, we need to remember that as we sally forth into the world, and if we have a firearm on us for self-defense, then we need to be careful and make sure that we are diligent in terms of putting all of that together. Especially, and I talk about this in the video, when we are moving from a traditionally double action only to a single action firearm with a frame mounted safety, there's just enough going on there that you want to build some muscle memory and get some good repetitions in. So let's get out to the range and start putting all this together. So here is my Wilson SFX9. I do now have a Holosun 507 sight on there. I'll talk more about that in a second. This gun has proven itself to be everything that I expected it to be. It's been just great so far, really, really accurate, and a pleasure to work with. I went with the Holosun 507C. When I ordered this gun and ordered the base plate for it, I did it for the Trigicon RMR footprint. But the problem that I have with the Trigicon RMR is that it does require you to remove the sight in order to change the battery, which does require re-zeroing. And I was looking for an optic that did not require that, and the Holosun 507C doesn't do that. I paid retail for this. I don't get anything from Holosun, but so far it's been a great sight. Zeroed it at 15 yards, and it seems like it's working just fine. So we're going to go ahead and get some rounds through this. I now have a holster for it. The only thing harder, I think, than finding a Wilson combat gun, because you have to wait a few months for them normally, is finding a holster for a Wilson combat gun that you have a red dot optic mounted on it. I had bought some holsters in preparation for getting the gun without knowing that the base plate changes things up a little bit, so I didn't have a really good holster to run the gun in. I had gone ahead and ordered a holster from Kramer Handgun Leather. I've owned their holsters for the last 30 years and they're amazing, but to get a holster from them right now with the optics cut for this gun, it's about a 20-week process, and I didn't want to wait 20 weeks to use my new Wilson in a belt roll. So I contacted the great people at 3i Holsters here in Ohio. They're in Zanesville, Ohio. I drove out there because I happen to live close enough by there, dropped the gun off, and they molded it for the holster itself, or molded the holster for the gun itself. We'll look a little bit more at this in just a minute. They're also not paying me anything. I paid full retail for this as well. What we're going to do today is we're going to engage some targets. You'll see here in a minute, downrange, I have my very favorite target in the world, which is a paper plate. It is a measured 7 yards from where I'm standing. And we're just going to do some holster work. And one of the things I want to talk about is that, Wilson calls this gun part of their EDC line, the EDC9. And of course, EDC stands for everyday carry. Well, even though the firearm is designed for everyday carry, let's not forget that just because you get something designed for everyday carry doesn't mean it's ready for you to everyday carry. So with a firearm like this, it's single action in nature. It does have a frame mounted thumb safety, and especially with the brand new holster and another variable, throwing in that red dot sight, I want to make sure I'm practicing my presentations from the holster, making sure that I'm managing that safety properly, and also picking up that red dot. With that, what we're going to do is we're going to put, I think, a couple hundred rounds through the gun today. For ammo, we're using, I bought this from an estate sale, so man, I hope it's good. It's a 250 round value pack of UMC, Remington UMC 9mm. It's 115 grain, and we'll just go ahead and we'll start running this and see what happens. So let's go ahead and get shooting. Let's see, what am I doing today? Again, Wilson SFX9, 4-inch barrel, 3-eye holster. We are doing the Peltor today. I'm not using my in-ear auto just because I don't feel like it. And we're going to start off with the Oakleys, and I do also have a sort of a no-name shooting glass that I might switch to just in case I want to try it without the sunglass effect. So with that, let's go ahead and just start working on some presentations from the holster, one shot, and then we'll go back to the holster and we'll do that for a few times. Felt that I rushed that last one, and let's go down and take a look. So yeah, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 right in the middle, and that last one there, that I just I knew it the second I did it. Again, it's important to remember that, you know, I'm a long time shooter, been doing this a long time, but transitioning to a new gun, you owe it to yourself, and you owe it to really everyone that's around you to make sure that you are doing more than just getting a new gun, loading it, throwing it into your holster, and putting it on your hip. Everything is a process, and a new gun requires you, in my opinion, to go ahead and make sure that you are doing the right thing. Additionally, if you are introducing a new method of operation, historically, my firearms for belt use, for self-defense, everyday carry, whatever you want to call it, traditionally, those have been double action only firearms, which means that they really only require the squeeze of a trigger. They don't require any manipulation of a safety before you fire. So even though I've been shooting this type of firearm for a long time in a range environment, by transitioning over to a belt gun of this method of operation, it's something where I really need to start myself from scratch. Part of that starting from scratch is going ahead and practicing those presentations as I've been doing. Maybe do a 5 and 50 drill, which we'll probably do here in a little bit. If you forget the 5 and 50 drill, I'll link to my video about that as well. It's a great way to get some real good training in without burning a whole lot of ammunition. But we're just going to go ahead and we're going to continue to just work on our holster presentations. You know, maybe I can talk through some of this. You know, when I think about presenting from the holster, I think about identifying my target, coming down and establishing my grip, then breaking out from the holster. At some point as I bring my firearm up, I probably want to sweep off that safety, so by the time I get here and can present to the target, I can break that shot. And notice now I'm back into my workspace and I swept the safety back up to the on-safe position. So when we do that, again, we have to put a lot of things together at once. You also may notice that I'm not doing this for my physique, but I've tucked in my shirt. I am eliminating variables while I get the draw down, while I get the manipulation of the gun down, while I get good hits on target. I will then layer in further into my training with this gun things like covering garments, needing to sweep those out of the way, etc. Okay, but for now, we're just going to focus on establishing our grip, coming up when safe, safety off, 2 hands meet, come up, find that dot, and that one was right in the middle. And then doing it again. Please notice I'm not looking at my holster. My holster isn't moving. It isn't dodging me as I try to put the gun back in. I want to make sure that I keep my eyes up in the threat direction. I want to make sure that I am not locked in, that at the appropriate time I'm scanning for other threats. And then when the time is appropriate, I'm going to go ahead and establish that grip, come up, safety off, hands come together, find that dot, and that again, right where we want those hits to be. So this is a continuum of practice. I am finding that the red dot, because it's brand new to me, it's a little hard to find, okay? I actually have some training coming up in the next couple of months where I'm going to go to a red dot only shooting school, and hopefully I'll be able to share some of that with you on camera. But I do know that they say transitioning to a red dot, I've heard a whole bunch of different things, 200 rounds, 500 rounds, 1,000 rounds, but I do not know what the magic number is for any one person. I don't know if there is a magic number for any one person, but I know that there is a transition necessary. And as I come up, as I index my gun, I come off safe in a safe place, get my hands together, and break that shot. They're going right where I want them to. That time I did find the dot a lot faster, and so I was able to put terminal effect on target faster than I had been. That one just right there was actually a little slower than the previous one. But I'm learning with every round. I'm learning where that dot might be, where I expect it to be, and how to manipulate so that that dot is lining up where I need it to be. It should be something that after a while happens without really a lot of conscious thought in terms of finding that dot. That one felt pretty good. We're empty with our first 15 rounds. Let's go ahead and write, everything is a training opportunity. We're empty, great. I probably should have seized on the entire training opportunity and ejected my magazine, which I didn't do, but let's go ahead and do that. So we got our slide lock back. We're going to come back to our workspace. We're going to index our magazine, eject our old one, get it up on the gun, and let's get the gun back in the fight. Some of these are breaking a little bit low. I think maybe I'm sacrificing some accuracy for speed. I mean, they're all good terminal hits, but I'm not gonna lie, and I'll show you the target here in a minute. They're not all in that little black circle, but they're all good hits at that 6-inch pie plate or paper plate at that 7-yard or 21-foot distance. Notice what I did just there. I exaggerated my follow through, which I had not been doing during these sort of real world types of firing strings, because in the real world, you can over exaggerate to your demise follow through. I believe in teaching follow through. If you've seen some of my other videos, we talk about follow through. It's an important aspect of marksmanship, but remember that there is a place where marksmanship as a discipline does exist separately from the martial use of a firearm or the use of firearm for self-defense, defense of others. In the Venn diagram of life, marksmanship and self-defense shooting, there's an awful lot of overlap, but let's not get so wrapped up in marksmanship that we are not looking at the realities of what it is we're training for. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to acknowledge my threat, come down, get a good grip of the firearm, come up, off safe, 2 hands together. And that was right in the middle, which is really nice, right? Looking for targets, okay? one of the things that I'm noticing is that I am still trying to get used to, do I want to access the weapon in a full hand grip here, and then as I come up, reach over the safety? Or do I want to start from a place where as I index the gun, I start with my thumb on top of that safety lever, bring it up, sweep it off, and establish my grip? And I think I kind of like that better. Of course, one of the things we know from actual armed encounters is that while we want to train, while we want to teach and train on establishing as good a grip as you can, that's exactly what that means. That grip is not always going to be perfect, right? I'm not a big fan, I've talked about this in other videos, of these, 40 lines per inch checkering everywhere in the gun, and it's basically like sandpaper or grip tape, right? And I know there are some whiz-bang guys from Delta and Navy SEALs that do that stuff, and you know what? Let those guys do what they do, because they train, and they are in a different world than we are in. The reality is, and I've been told this by people who are true and tested martial masters with the handgun, that this whole concept of having to grab a gun quickly, making sure you're always going to get that perfect grip is a myth. The thing is that when we're looking at the real world application, you have to get comfortable with the fact that muscle memory and repetition is going to get you to a place where you can work. But don't think that means that every single time that you establish a grip under pressure, it's actually going to be a perfect grip. Which, going back to my unfinished thought about all this checkering and this grip tape, you may in fact, as you're bringing your gun into the fight, maybe have to subtly reposition your grip a little bit. And guess what? If you don't have the ability through the texturing of your gun to reposition because you're stuck to it like glue with that grip tape or all that checkering, then you're going to be ultimately, I believe, and I think logic just dictates, less effective than if you, with that initially established improper grip, if you can go ahead and you can reestablish a proper grip at the appropriate time, you're going to be way more effective than being sort of stuck into this very, very tactile, very rough finish that makes it harder to readjust your grip. Now, am I making too much of a point of this? And gun people love to do this. They love to seize on one little thing and sort of create that mountain out of that molehill. I really don't think that's the case here, because I welcome you to go and try different guns with different grip textures, and you will see that it actually can be problematic. Man, you come down and you establish that. Now, I'm not taking off safety. I'm not going to break a shot right now. But if you are trying to readjust your grip, it can actually be pretty bothersome with guns that have that really aggressive texture. By the way, and again, I bought this gun, I paid my price for it. I didn't get any special deal. I'm not trying to be coy. I got a law enforcement discount, but other than that, I paid for this gun. Wilson didn't give it to me. They're not paying me to talk about this, but it is great. This particular one is their solid frame model, but the EDC line all have this, I even forget what they call it, but it's like a crisscross X pattern. And to me, it really is probably the best of both worlds. I'm a big fan of having combat handguns as smooth as possible, but this one is actually pretty smooth right up until you grip it, if that makes any sense at all. So it does allow the hand to flow around it, but then when you are getting purchase, the way that they've done this works really, really well. So, just take all these things into consideration. Some other instructors and gun guys on YouTube are going to tell you all sorts of different things, and find out what works for you, but these are some things to think about. Okay, so let's just go ahead and finish out with this firing string. Actually, let's do this. Let's turn everything into a training opportunity, right? Let's get I'm only wearing a single magazine holder because that's all I'd ever really wear on the street anyway, as now an armed civilian. So I'm not going to train with a double mag pouch because I don't use a double mag pouch, right? In fact, I don't often even use a single mag pouch, but sometimes I do, so here we are, right? So we're going to go ahead. I think we're getting to the end of our magazine. And wow, handily can count. Reacquire. Nope, I don't need a shot. Let's go ahead and bring it back to the holster. You know, for these monotonous sort of shot after shot after shot, what is it you should be looking for? Probably looking for repeatability. Am I doing the same thing each time? Am I making any mistakes? Did you see where in the last 4 or 5 rounds I didn't establish such a good grip? I noticed it. I don't know if you saw it. It doesn't mean like you should have, or the only reason I noticed it because I felt it, right? But, you know, just look for these things. Look for repeatability. I really should be, and we should all strive for when we're on the range, especially when we're doing things static like this, I should be striving for repeatability as much as possible. In fact, it should look like maybe I even took the same shot and copied it a bunch of times. Now, you know, I don't know if I'm that good, but at least that's what we're striving for. Notice, by the way, again, UMC ammo, not the priciest ammo in the world, but no malfunctions. The safety on this Wilson is tuned really, really well. You know, I think safety should go off easy enough where they don't get in your way, but they should require some definite effort to get them off. And I think they should go on with, again, a certain amount of effort needed, because you don't want the safety going on at the wrong time. Sometimes the way people use their grip with single action guns, they have to adjust their grip or learn something new because they put the safety on in the middle of a firing string. So again, you want to make sure that your safety in your gun is giving you the appropriate level of feedback and also requiring the appropriate level of effort. And this one is just perfectly done. Wilson Combat has made me really happy with this firearm, which is good because it costs a lot of money. You know, one other thing I want to talk about is I noticed over the last couple of months, as I've been shooting and shooting more on video, that my sight picture has begun to deteriorate in the sense that I was getting a lot of tremors in my hands. And yeah, I've been shooting for a long, long time. And I was kind of like, hey, what's going on with that, right? Well, I think I've boiled it down to the fact that A, because I've had some injuries that have been bothering me, and B, I'm kind of lazy. I haven't been to the gym, and you know, with COVID, I'm working a lot more from the house. I don't really do a lot more. And I really think that that tremor, that shaking that I was seeing was fatigue. And as you take these guns, no matter what they weigh, half pound, 3/4 pound, a pound, etc., and you push them out, and that requires a bit of effort. I had to decide for myself, what am I going to do? Is that acceptable? And if it isn't, how do I correct it? And so I actually started working with a trainer. You can't tell yet, give me time. But because again, anything that's happening down there, downrange, that is not ideal, remember that all the problems are uprange. The problems are even with your gun, your ammo, your head, your hands, right? Like the bullets will go where they're supposed to go. All the problems that you see downrange are uprange, and it's up to you to figure out what they are and remediate. So it's all on you. In this case, my glasses are getting foggy and sweaty. So this is coming up on 45 rounds. Ah, again, I can count. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at our target. We'll do it this way this time. Just kind of walk down together. Well, I shot the top off the post of wood that I was using. That's 45 rounds at 7 yards with, you know, some level of speed, I guess, right? This is a rip. This is from the, these are from the staples. So, you know, I can cover them all with my hand, you know, while getting used to a new gun, while getting used to a brand new holster that I just had for less than one full day. So, the Wilson SFX9, 3-eye holsters, flawless feed, flawless ejection. Everything's working great on the gun. It's accurate. The Holosun 507C is holding at 0. And even that estate sale 9mm ammo seems to be working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue on. I'm going to get some more rounds through this, and then maybe I will turn the camera back on and we'll do a quick 5 and 50 drill, see where we get. All right, the next thing we're going to do with our Wilson SFX9 is we're going to do a modified 5 and 50 drill. The 5 and 50 drill, for those of you who may not remember it, I won't spend a lot of time. It's going to be a perfect way to come out to the range with one box of 50 rounds of ammunition and go through a number of different training phases that can provide you with a good day's training for not a lot of money. I'm going to talk through them very, very quickly as I do them. And again, normally we like to end with 10 rounds, or we like to start with 10 rounds on the gun, do phase 1, we're done with those 10 rounds, and then we go on and on. I'm not going to do that today. I have 45 rounds loaded, 15 in the gun, 15 in my spare magazine, and then my third magazine over there, or actually in my pocket. And we're going to go through all those phases until we reach 45 rounds. And then at that point, we're going to go ahead and, well, we'll reach 40 rounds. And then at that point, we will reset because we need 3 magazines loaded in a specific way for the last phase. So the first phase is very simple. It is 10 rounds, 21 feet or 7 yards, 2 hands at your own speed. So let's go and just get those done. By the way, we do have a fresh target up. Second phase is going to be 10 rounds, same distance, strong side only. Third phase is going to be 10 rounds, weekend only. Really searching for that dot, because I haven't done this yet with this red dot sight of this gun. That was phase 3, 10 rounds weekend. The next phase is from the holster. So 10 rounds, 1 round each from the holster. Felt that one, went really high. Okay, that's 10 rounds. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set up for our last phase in the 5 and 50 drill. Okay, for the last phase in the 5 and 50 drill, we want to get 10 rounds, our last 10 rounds, and this is a reloading drill. So we're going to take our first magazine with 4 rounds, and we're going to go ahead and get this, and this one's going to go in the gun, and in the holster. Our second magazine and our third magazine are going to have 3 rounds each. So 4 in the gun, 3 in mag 1, 3 in mag 2, 4 plus 3 plus 3 is 10. These are our final 10 rounds. First magazine is going to go in my magazine holder. Second magazine, I'll just put it in my pocket because that's where I've been carrying it. So why not imitate what we're going to be doing in real life if we had that third magazine? So I'm going to draw and engage 4 rounds, reload, 3 rounds, reload, 3 rounds for 10. That's the last phase of the 5 and 50 drill. It's almost like it didn't want to go back in the holster with the slide lock back. All right, let's walk it down, see how we did on this 5 and 50 drill. I think we did okay. Again, remember this is 50 rounds, and these 50 rounds include 1 hand strong side only, 1 hand weak side only, and magazine reloads, holsters, etc. I don't want to make this too much about the 5 and 50 drill. I do have a separate video about that, but one of the nice things about the 5 and 50 drill is that you can go ahead and you can incorporate a lot of things, a lot of extra things in each one of these phases. For example, during the reloading portion, the last phase, maybe you work every round from the holster, or maybe every 2 rounds from the, or every holster after every 2 rounds or whatever. So you can do a lot of different things, kind of mix it up, but that's the standard 5 and 50 drill with our Wilson SFX9, and I'm considering this to be a success. So I think right now we have, is that 90, is that 100 rounds to the gun? Yep. I don't want to sit here and just bore you with me just shooting round after round to this gun. So let me go ahead and sign off this video for now. And again, this is Jerry Nines talking today about the Wilson SFX9 with the Hollow Sun 507C. I just again could not be more impressed with this gun. So thanks everyone. We'll see you on the range the next time. Please be safe, be careful. They're not always the same thing. And God bless America.